Welcome to the Bringing You Home podcast. We're a group of mortgage professionals with no fame and no egos. We do, however, bring 55 plus years of combined mortgage experience and a strong desire to help everyone reach the American dream of a home ownership. All of this while having fun, keeping it simple, and most importantly, bringing you home.
Woo! Good afternoon, everybody. How you doing? Episode 7 of the Bring You Home podcast. And as you can see, we have a special guest with us today. She's waving. She was a last minute invite, and I really appreciate you for jumping in and joining us on such short notice and without a lot of time to plan, right? But you're fabulous. So I don't think this will be a problem.
Work better on the on the spot.
Yeah.
Under pressure.
I think so too. So I think you're going to do great here. Anyhow, let's start by introducing our guest today. And she is part of our team. And her name is Alex Dominguez. And I'm going to let her share a little bit about yourself. Why don't you share a little bit about yourself and your position and some of the stuff that you do here at our company?
Well, I'm a loan originator. And initially I started with the company previously with all this group in the disclosures department. I was actually working with Jen. And once I was working with Jen, I realized that this group of people that I work with is just phenomenal, a really good team. And I got my license and I started originating loans and being Mauricio's assistant. And
Mauricio was our previous guest, so everybody knows who Mauricio is.
Yeah, so I started as his loan officer assistant and then originating my own loans.
Awesome.
But previously, 10 years back, I used to also be an originator for years. So it wasn't like I was completely new, but after you're gone from the industry, it's like you have to learn everything over.
How long was that gap?
About 6 years.
Oh, wow.
6 to 7 years. Yeah.
So the reason I'm excited to have you is partly because you've had various capacities in the mortgage business, but specifically as a loan officer assistant and as a loan officer. So I want to see, as we move on throughout this podcast, I want to get your take, see if there's really a difference there, right? Between the way you view a loan as a LOA and you view a loan as a loan officer. And what you feel like if you not speak differently, but what the nuances are between and the differences between those two as it pertains to dealing with borrowers. That makes sense. So do you take a different approach or whatnot? So we'll get into that in a little bit. But before we do that, we're going to go ahead.
The market update.
So I'm going to get your take on this, Alex, as well as Miss Jen Skis. I got a quick little fun fact for you that I read today, and I thought it'd be interesting to share with the audience. But as an FYI, the August statewide median price increased slightly by 0.7% from July. So from July to August, we had an increase of 0.7% in the average median price. Doesn't seem like a lot, right?
Well, I'm surprised. Yeah.
You're surprised because you would think that the way the market is, right, and we're seeing a lot of houses go down in price, yet there still has been an increase. Here's the second part of that. Despite a slower growth rate in this year's second half of the year, the California median home price is expected to rise a total of 9.7% in 2022. So throughout this year of 2022, right, we're still seeing an increase of 8 to 10%, in total. So yes, things are slowing down. Obviously 0.7 is much less than 8 to 10%, but ultimately we've seen market, the ability to increase your wealth as a homeowner has gone up, right, by 10%. And that seems to be a typical for homeowners, right? It's a roller coaster ride, but at the same time, longevity will always show a profit. Would you agree?
Yes, absolutely.
Right. So is there ever a bad time to buy?
Never. When you can't afford the payment, that's a bad thing.
Don't do that.
Don't do that.
Yeah, but that's why we come to you, right? And that's why we go to mortgage professionals. So
what do you think about that 0.7?
I'm surprised because we've seen so many price reductions lately. It was concerning to think that properties may be going down in price, especially being a new homeowner.
Right. Well, yeah, you just bought a home. How long ago?
About 5 months ago.
How do you feel about that purchase?
I'm so happy. I'm really glad that I did it.
So, um, we talk about the fact that there's never a bad time to purchase a home, right? And then the different things that it's going to open up for you, and it becomes your like your safe space, right? So, like I always tell a client when I'm talking to them, I say, don't worry about the fluctuations of the market, don't worry about rates, don't worry about prices. If you can afford the payment, you're in an area where you want to be at, right? Who cares what the price is? So if you bought it for, I don't know your situation, but let's say you bought it for 600,000 and it went down to 300,000. Would you care if it's in the area that you want it to be in? And the payment was the same. I mean, you'd probably be bothered by it, right?
Of
But you'd
course.
be happy that you're still in your home,
Yeah,
correct?
that I can still afford my payment, and it's still at the end of the day, I'm still going to pay it off in the same amount of time that I had projected, and I'm going to have, a paid off home, and I'm going to have all this equity regardless of what's happening today.
Right. And even if the house goes down to 300,000, eventually, right, the roller coaster, you follow the real estate roller coaster, it'll go back up to a million at some point. I mean, it's just,
Hopefully, yes.
yeah, I mean, and if you follow trends, that's just what happens, right? That's typically what happens. But so and do you feel like now that you own a home, um, were you late to the party? Do you wish you would have done it sooner?
I wish I would have done it sooner, but I wasn't able to do it sooner. So I bought exactly when I was able to buy. So it was a perfect timing
It was
for
a
me.
perfect time for you.
Mhm.
Yeah. And how does your family feel about it?
Oh, everybody's excited and happy. Now everybody wants to come over. I can't
Yeah.
get rid of them.
And you're kind of the life of the party. So now you can just have a party there, right?
Yeah, there's people that, want to come over and we're hanging out, like my cousin, and he wants to spend nights. And I'm like, no, no,
No,
Go
go
home.
home.
go home.
So, it's funny. Um, oh, like behind the curtain, we actually filmed a podcast earlier, but it didn't work, didn't record the voice. So now we're lucky enough to have you here. But when we were filming that podcast, I mentioned that I've been watching La Reina del Sur and listening to Bad Bunny and stuff. So it's like el hogar, right?
Uh-huh.
Es tu hogar. How
Mhm.
would you translate that from Spanish to English?
Well, it's like your meeting places, your nest. Everybody that you're close to and you love come and spend really memorable times there, and it's really important that you were building all these memories and having a nice, safe space to share everything with.
So instead of just the financial leverage and gain that you're going to get out of this, there's also a definite emotional gain that you're going to get out of this,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, definitely. The relationship between just my son and I has been so much better because he feels that that's his space. This is his home.
Hmm. See, and I think that's the biggest thing. Like as you're in the market in the mortgage business with us, and so you know that the rates are just on that roller coaster, right? And I think I mentioned earlier, Jen, if I'm not mistaken, we're like going up Colossus right now at Magic Mountain, and it just kind of slowly going up, 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 and we're waiting to hit that peak
Hmm.
so we can all go
Ride
down with our
it.
hands up and ride and everything, right? And
Not you, though.
ride the new wave. Not me because I'm scared of heights, um, but that's the thing, oops. Borrowers are terrified, right? And rightly so because the rates are going up. But ultimately, if you can afford the payment, I think it's important to just do it.
Mhm.
Just get into it. And you mentioned something specific. It was the right time for you.
Yeah.
Didn't
Mhm.
matter what the rates were. Didn't matter what, the prices of the house were. It just was the right time for you. And I think that's important. As loan officers, we need to make sure that we share that with our clientele, right? And guide them in a proper way. And I know that you do a great job with your clients that way and educating them. Um, but gosh, I just, such a believer, and I say this every podcast. There's never a bad time to buy a house. Absolutely never. As the stat that I just shared states, you're going to build wealth, and this is generational wealth. This is wealth that can't be built in any other way unless you're Elon Musk and you
And you're a
you
genius.
blow your nose and you make 2 billion. So, but for the rest of us, owning a home is the best way to go about it. And so, well, congratulations for that.
Thank you.
As a segue here, really quickly, what as a LOA, what do you feel is your job? And when I say LOA, loan officer assistant to Mauricio, what was your particular job when you were dealing with homeowners, or
Well,
responsibility, I guess?
I have to gather documentation from them and kind of give them an update of where their file is, talk to some agents to also update them. But as an LOA, I have to become a little detached from the file because I cannot advise the clients because these are Mauricio's clients.
Mhm.
So I just have to relay information back and forth and be very clear and be very polite and to the point. And when you're a loan officers, it's a little different.
So why don't you segue to a loan officer position now? How do you handle the client differently?
Well, you have to be a little bit more, advise them a little more, try to engage a little bit more with how they're feeling and what they're going through so that you could better explain the whole situation to them. So at that point, as the loan officer, I have the freedom to give them a little bit more advice and guide them and be a little more personal but with them because you're building that relationship. It's that bond that you have with them. So whereas when I am dealing with Mauricio's clients, I have to be part of him. So I have to be part of his team and just be professional and do my job like where they're my clients, then I'm trying to build a relationship with the
Relationships.
client.
So that's an interesting deviation of roles, I think. But
Yeah.
at the end of the day, do you feel the same responsibility?
Absolutely.
What's that responsibility?
At the end of the day, the client has to get their loan and it has to close, and we have to do everything possible to make sure that they're happy regardless of whether it's my client or Mauricio's.
Yeah, and I think that's the key, right? Happy, and we always want to make sure that their best interest is taken care of,
Mhm.
right? I mean, they're entrusting you with the biggest purchase of their life, with their earnest money deposit. There's so much that goes into, and their emotional welfare,
Yeah.
Right.
right? It is, like I said, a roller coaster. I'm curious, now that you've transitioned to a loan officer position, what that was a weird way of enunciating position, but now that you've now I'm all over the place. Now that you're a loan officer,
Yes.
how long do you spend with a first time home buyer
Mm,
or with any buyer? I mean, on average.
on average well, the first time you have a communication with the client, you want to explain things very thoroughly but not too much information because they do get overwhelmed. So you kind of tell them what this conversation is going to entail and what information you're going to need from them, and once they give you that information, then you start to unwrap every part of it.
It's like an onion, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But honestly, the first conversation it's very clear and to the point, and let's get through this little quick conversation, and then I'm gonna be able to guide you. But I can't explain or guide you anything until I get a little info from you.
That's interesting. I wholeheartedly believe that we didn't plan this conversation, but I really do believe that. I think less is more sometimes in the beginning, because it is such a daunting purchase and there's so much information. And when you get the disclosures from the disclosure desk, it's like a book, right?
Yeah.
And so they always ask me, do I need to read that? And what do you tell them? I'm curious what you tell them.
I tell them that it's important that they're aware, but I will tell them the main points to look for,
Mm-hmm.
and then in their free time, absolutely go ahead and read it.
Do you?
Then no one's got that much
I
free time.
But you're like, sign everything.
Yeah.
Sign it and date it.
Yeah.
Don't forget.
I tell them roughly the same thing. I say, hey, if you want to go to sleep, read it, but let me give you the highlights of this.
Yes.
And you're going to go through these all over again with your notary at the end. So,
But I'm sure you also get borrowers that are like, I need to know what every single page
Yeah.
says.
And you know what? We
So
have
you
it.
sit there and you.
Well, no, I tell them go ahead and read it, highlight your questions, and then we'll go over your question.
Mhm.
Because if I sit there through them, if if they could read a paragraph and by the end of the paragraph they'll figure it out. But if I'm on the phone, they're gonna ask me
Yeah.
every other word. So it's just again, it's too much information that just becomes confusing.
Do you feel that there is a difference between an application over the phone as opposed to in person? Do you prefer one, or do you think there's any
I prefer
difference?
over the phone personally because even though I say I don't like to talk to people, I talk a lot. And that application that could potentially take me 20 minutes over the phone, but in person it's going to take me an hour and a half
Mhm.
because we're going to get into so much that is not the time.
Yeah, and it's it is a progressive, right?
Mhm.
It's progressive steps. So I think when you want to take an application, you're trying to get factual information,
Mhm.
right? And then as you move to the next step, then you start filling in those gaps, and then you start the next step where you start building a story to provide to the processor and the underwriter. And if you get, you know, if you're overly involved or communicating at one time, you tend to scare a borrower, I think, right?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
and I think it's best to educate a borrower fully, but in due time, and then
Mhm.
don't give
There's a
them too
process.
much.
There's
Yeah.
definitely a process.
Otherwise they get overwhelmed, and I get overwhelmed. I mean, I'm overwhelmed when I'm, you know,
Yeah.
like when I go buy a car, not that I've
Oh.
purchased a car in a long time, but when I did go buy a car at one point, just like seeing all this stuff and numbers, and I'm just like, I don't care. Just
Give me the
tell me what
keys.
my payment is when
And
I
then-
finish paying it. And do I, is there something I got to trust you? Ultimately, I got to trust you, right? That you're not going to do me wrong.
Yeah.
Right.
And
Or-
this is a big investment for people. It's like the biggest, greatest investment of their lives. So I do also make it a point that they know that I work for them. Even though I work at the bank, my job is to represent them. So I am the person who is going to guide them and teach them. And if there's something that's not clear, they have to ask me and ask me again. If you didn't understand or you forgot, ask me again. Ask me 10 times. That is my job.
Mhm.
So at that point, they feel like they can trust what I'm going to tell them.
And trust is the biggest thing, right?
Mhm.
Like Jen can't trust me to be here at 8:30 in the morning,
Wow.
right? Because I late all the time, and she gets all
I
mad.
don't
Hmm.
trust you to be here at 11 o'clock.
I don't trust you to be here after 3 p.m.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
So,
Right?
I mean,
But-
8
You're
o'clock.
so busy.
Trust is that went off the rails there. Trust is a big thing. I think you hit it on the head. I think we got to educate, and I think we had to have their trust. And unfortunately, there's a lot of lenders that take advantage
Right.
and don't educate, and give us a bad name. There's a lot of people that come in, customers that come in here with a trepidation, scared. They've heard horror stories, and so I commend you on being somebody that's willing to educate, take some time, and build that trust, because I think that's important, and I think that's what's important. I mean, I think that's some character traits that all of our loan officers have in our office, and I think
Mhm.
that's what makes us
Yeah.
ultimately successful, right?
Mhm.
Alex, thank you very much. I mean, last minute there, but I think you've been very eloquent sharing your position on some of this stuff. I hope you'll decide to come back at
Oh.
another point in time when we talk about something else. I do want to ask you a few questions.
Mhm.
I like to do that now with our guests. So, are you ready?
Mhm.
Yes, just so that everybody knows a little bit about you.
Okay.
How's that?
Great.
Yeah?
Mm.
All right. What's your favorite food?
Tacos.
Tacos. What kind of tacos?
Fish tacos, the ones I just had.
Last movie you watched?
It was Hocus Pocus 2.
Hmm.
I don't know that one.
Hocus
It just-
Pocus.
No.
It just was released on like Friday.
Uh-huh.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
Oh, Halloween.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, gotcha. What's your
Hocus Pocus.
Yeah.
Oh, What's your favorite holiday?
It's gotta be Halloween.
Halloween?
Yeah.
What's your favorite type of music?
I was gonna say rap. I thought it was time to rap.
No. Tell me what your favorite type of music is. Be honest.
It just depends on the mood you're in. You can't
Yeah.
just have
That's a hard question.
Yeah, you can't have the same type of music when you're partying than when you're crying.
Yeah.
So
Okay. If
depends
you're
on the mood.
driving in your car,
Today.
what do you put on?
right, like today, I would listen to Britney Spears.
Oh Lord.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's a
Really?
vibe. That's
Um,
a vibe.
Let's see.
I'm with
That's a
that.
vibe. No, it's not. What do you think of Bad Bunny?
I don't like him.
No?
No,
Thank
Why
you.
not?
I'm not interested in his music. I don't think I don't see the artistic value. I think he's
Dang,
just.
she's going in.
No, I just think he's like
Hater.
obnoxious and which is trendy and it's he's got good beats.
Yeah,
whatever.
no.
It's it's catchy, but other than that, like if you really listen to the lyrics, like what are you telling me?
Well, he doesn't understand it.
I
That's
don't
probably
know.
why he likes
Yeah,
it.
I like it. It makes me dance, and I'm a bad dancer,
Because it's-
but I can't understand a damn word he says.
Yeah.
That's okay
'Cause of the beat.
It makes you dance. It makes you happy. So yeah, there
It
you go.
does. I'm just fascinated by him. I'm
Yes.
fascinated by the
The
you know what?
success.
Yeah,
Is that what it is? The success.
the success and the interest in him, and just the guy's killing it.
Yeah.
Right? I mean,
Yeah.
he's killing it. And anybody who could wear a braid with a beat on it in front of you and have some success. I mean, you got to give him mad respect.
I
And his
know
outfits
a lot
are
of people
freaking
in
crazy.
Venice that you can
In
that
Venice,
wear the little braids with beads. I mean,
I don't know. I'm fascinated by his success, but I'm trying to entertain my inner Latino spirit.
good.
Right?
This
So, I
is
mean,
the month for it.
I'm listening. It is. I'm listening to Bad Bunny. I just finished season 2, episode 61 or 60 of La Reina del Sur. I'm waiting for the next one to come out on mid-October.
Are you reading any good books from Mexican or Latino writers?
No, I'm not. No.
Do you know any good art from Mexican and Latino writers?
No.
Any really good films? There's some really good films.
No.
Okay.
That's all I got.
Who's asking the question here?
But I could speak Spanish.
I'm so happy that there's so
Barely.
much more for you to do.
I
and
just said
keep you
El
occupied.
Hogar. I mean, what do you want me to say? Come on. I'm going to change the name of the podcast. Bring you El Hogar podcast. Anyhow, why don't you share your information if you'd like to, so that anyone that's listening, if they have any questions, they could reach out to you.
Absolutely. If you guys have any questions, just use me as a resource. Honestly, that's it makes us better loan officers the more questions we answer. So the number here to reach me is 909-714-0958.
All right.
Yay.
And before we go, we do a little segment called the
Office update.
All right, Jenskis. What you got today?
Oh, me?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you were gonna ask Alex.
No, it's your segment.
All I have to say, Alex, did you see the 3 posters up there?
I did. I noticed that. When
When?
did that go up?
When did you notice it?
Yesterday.
Okay. Yeah, we put them up yesterday.
Okay.
We
It
put
took
out
us 3 hours.
3 days ago.
No, we didn't.
Yes,
did
we did.
I don't know. I just blurted out of my life because it took so damn long.
Why?
It literally took me, Eliseo, Isabel to do it. And it took us like over an hour because he couldn't measure the wall and he had like OCD and he was like, it has to be straight. It has to be leveled. It has to be this.
Why do you have so much OCD? What? A little imperfection is okay. I know.
Yes.
Well, there's some imperfections there. Wow.
Wow, you
Sorry.
felt really
The
deeply
F
about
bomb.
that. That was
Not even me.
I
And I use
apologize
it in
to
every
the
other
audience.
sentence.
I apologize.
But you see what I
yes.
had to deal with? And then while he asked me for my help, he was like, but let me finish La Reina del Sur. And I was like, well, do you want me to help you or not? Because I'm going to help you right now if you want me to help you. He's like, okay, let me get off of my chair and go.
it can be hard to step away from that show.
It is. It was a good show.
Do you dream
I was
about
at
it?
the end. Huh?
Do you dream about
Do you dream about it?
No,
The
I don't
truth.
dream about it, but anyhow.
I think about it.
I do think about it. I do. I can't wait for the next episode. Next season. Alex, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hold on. My office update is Fred, the security guard, he shaved. He got a clean shave.
I know.
Did
I
you
saw
see that?
No.
Yeah, got a clean shave.
Yeah,
No.
I did see
You
that.
know how I feel about Fred.
Oh, who does not love Fred? Drop dead Fred. Anyhow,
Mm.
everybody,
That
thank
little
you very
smile.
much for joining us. Hopefully
Thank you
you
for having me.
absolutely anytime drop by. If you have any questions, email Jen or DM Jen. I don't know that, I'm old. And stay tuned for our poll. Do you like Bad Bunny or do you not like Bad Bunny?
We'll
Number
see.
1. Number 2, is the art straight or is it not straight?
It's the art. Okay. I'll post it. Don't worry.
All right. Thank you all for joining us.
Thank you all for tuning in. Glad we were able to provide you with some useful information while bringing a little joy to your lives. Like, subscribe, and share on all social media platforms. We want to interact with you by answering your questions and having you as part of the community. We look forward to bringing you home.